Hello and welcome to part 2 of this series of videos, which I will go over the Community Day Pokemon I think you should Elite TM or not. For this part 2, it is the year 2019, so let's get right to it. So first up, we have Totodile into Feraligatr. So, meta relevant, not that I've really seen. I mean, it can either run Waterfall, Ice Wing in terms of the moves I've seen it run. Its move is Hydro Cannon, it needs an Elite Charge TM. I give this a 1 just because I've only seen it like not even a handful of times. It needs, in addition to Hydro Cannon, it needs a cheaper charge move that provides coverage, or it needs a better energy generating fast move. Bottom line, wait till an event to evolve and get the move. That is my thoughts on this. So pretty quick. Next, we have a Swineup. Meta relevant, mostly in Master League, but I have seen a rare few in Ultra League. Its move for Community is Ancient Power, which you need an Elite Charge TM. 1, do not use an Elite TM for this. It was a waste. It's a waste. Don't even bother waiting for an event, honestly. You can do without Ancient Power, I'm telling you. I forget the chances for the buff, the boost, before it was nerfed to 10%. But yeah, it's just, yeah, not worth it. Don't do it, please. I'm begging you, for the love of God, do not do it. Or I should say the love of Arceus. Do not use an Elite TM here. Next, we have a Sceptile, so Tree Coat a Sceptile. Meta relevant. Honestly, I've only seen it a few times, but it has niche play at best for Spice, primarily in the Ultra League, I would say. Its move is Frenzy Plant, which you need an Elite Charge TM. I give it a 2. Reason being is, if you want one, have one, but definitely you can wait for an event. Leaf Blade, while not as energy efficient, Frenzy Plant is actually more damage per energy. It is just such a better bait move. You know that, and then it's typically worth the trade-off for less damage. So like if you need 2 moves anyway and you need a 3rd move, or if there's shields, Leaf Blade is just typically more efficient to use overall, even if it's not as much damage. It's just that good of a move. It's one of the best moves for charge moves in the game, especially for baiting purposes. So yeah, again, I wouldn't recommend using Elite Charge TM, but I do have it as a 2, as it's definitely more worth it than, say, the previous one we just talked about, Ancient Power. Next we have is Begone into Salamence. Meta relevant, hard to say, but honestly, I'm leaning towards a no here. It does, you know, there is some spice play, obviously, like any mon. Its move is Outrage, which you need an Elite Charge TM. I get it with 3. I still don't think it's worth it. Admittedly, this is probably a very generous rating here. It's the cheapest charge move it has in its arsenal at 60 energy. So, like, you can't even double up on any move it has. Excuse me. So Outrage is definitely necessary, or PvP. It's just a better raid mon than a PvP mon. It did get a buff though when Dragon Tail got its buff recently, so like Dragon Tail got way, like, maybe like a tad less energy, but way more damage too. So like, especially since yeah, it needs the Dragon Tail too. So I think you can save your Elite TM here. It's still not worth it overall in my opinion. So like, honestly, maybe I should switch to my ratings for Sceptile and Salamence here. But overall, as you can see, it's more worth it than Ancient Power for sure. Next, we have Torchic End Blaziken. Woo, Blaziken, popular bird here. Meta relevant, mostly in Ultra League Premier Classic, though I did see a couple in Great League and Open Ultra League, though, so it happens. Its community move is Blast Room. It does have a legacy move in Stone Edge. Both will need an Elite Charge TM. I give this a 5. Definitely a spice play, but you don't want to use 2 Elite TMs. So, like, you don't want both Blast Burn and Stone Edge. I would recommend, if you're going to go for Stone Edge, definitely have Blaze Kick, which is a decent bait move. Not as good as Leaf Blade, but it's okay. It's really up to preference. It's a toss-up. Most that I've seen definitely have been using Blaze Kick way more often than Blast Burn. I've only seen like 1, maybe 2 Blast Burns where like I've seen 10 Blaze Kicks. And then they either have Brave Bird or Stone Edge for their nuke move. So it's fine. Middle of the pack there. Next we have is Slackhouse into Slacking. Slacking only has any relevance in Master League, and even then it's very spicy because its fast move is Yawn, which definitely generates energy, but it's a long fast move and does no damage. Like, literally, I think its damage stat is 0, but it still causes 1 just because, you know, game logic. The move is Body Slam. It needs an Elite Charge TM. Rating is a 3.5, kind of in the middle. Body Slam is one of the best moves in the game. But in reality, it's the middle evolution, Vigoroth, that's the real star for PvP and Great League formats. Even while it's not necessarily as high as it was in Open, it's still very solid in its own right. Just note, I believe it has the highest CP for a non-legendary mon. Legendary, mythical, and non-mega mon out there at just over 5,000 CP at level 50. Don't remember specifically. I just remember it being over 5,000 CP for level 50. So yeah. It's up to you. If you can wait for an event, I would. But definitely, I catch the Slackhouse for Vigoroth. I do not catch him for slacking. Oh, and here's my favorite one. Mudkip to Swampert. Meta relevant? Yes. It is one of the few mons do have relevance in all leagues. Its move is Hydro Cannon, need an Elite Charge TM. 10 out of 10 for the rating. It's my favorite mod, so yes, I'm biased. The first game my parents ever got me was the Ruby version, and Mudkip was my first choice. I love water types. Love, 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 love. Pretty much, it's the best Mud Boy in the game overall, and if you're wondering why it has relevance in Master League, if you know, because its CP is not that high, it just barely gets over 3,000, I believe, or just under. Off the top of my head, I'm not going to look this up right now. The thing is, there's hardly any grass types in Master League. You literally... Zarude is the most recent addition. And I'm talking open. Zarude... there's a couple mons that have some grass moves, but aren't grass typing. Like, there is just, like, one or two... I can't even remember the other one. There's, like, one other I'm thinking. Yeah, it's just, yes, there's just barely any grass types in the Master League open meta. Premier Classic will definitely have a few more, especially if it's level 40, which that's what Premier Classic is. Duh. So yeah, and like any mod, you don't want it to align against its counters. So yeah, but Swampert, one of the few, have relevance in all of it. If you can't wait, I think it's worth it. Obviously, unless you know there's an event coming up in 2 weeks, which then please hold off the Elite TM, like any mon here. Next we have is Ralts into either its of evolutions of Gardevoir, if it's a female, or if it's a male, and only the males can evolve into Gallade. Females and males can evolve into Gardevoir, as Gardevoir came out in Gen 3, where Gallade came out in the next generation. Its move is Synchronized for the Community. Needs an Elite Charge TM. I give it a 4. Has some Spice play. Gardevoir is a Charmer. Anyone who's been in here long enough, if you ask them, Charm is just Shadow Charm is the way to go if you're going to use Gardevoir in any league, honestly. Gallade has Confusion, so it's a little redundant because the Confusion is such a solid move. It is a surprise factor similar to Draco Meteor in Part 1 with the Dratini to Dragon Knight community that I talked about then. So 99% of us won't expect it. Trust me, we won't. If it's a Gallade, we are assuming Confusion, Leaf Blade, Close Combat. Like, we are not expecting Synchronoise. Which definitely helps against poison types, because Gallade is a glass cannon. They're both glass cannons too. So yeah, definitely more worth it than say like the Swineup and those other mons just in the previous slides. But you know, if you can wait. I don't, just spice play if anything. Next is Torchic to Tortea. Meta relevance? No, just NO. No, 9, no. Frenzy plants the move. Not surprising. Hang on here. I give it a 1.5 as it's definitely more worth it than Ancient Power with the Swineup to the Mamoswine. It's the cheapest grass move. I think its other one is Solar Beam, and its cheapest move is Sand Tomb. Unfortunately, both its fast moves are Razor Leaf and Bite, which are terrible for energy generation. They're good for beatdowns, though Bite is questionable, but yeah, it's just not terrible energy generation. That's why it's not worth it. Wait for an event. Just don't use one. Next we have is Trapinch to Flygon. So more niche in my opinion, but there is still some decent play in both Great League and Ultra League. Earth Power is the move, need an Elite Charge TM. It's a 7, which seems generous, even though I say niche. It is cheaper than Earthquake and often worth the less damage if you need 2 moves to knock out the opponent anyway, which is often the case because Earthquake, it's definitely a solid move, but like when you look at other moves of the same energy, it's not exactly the most powerful. So have one for sure, but don't stress getting it with a TM right away. I've seen a few Flygon similar to Garchomp that will do like Dragon Tail and Sand Tomb. So like, again, that's a viable option as they're the same typing, so it's kind of the similar play here. Next we have is, sorry, brain fart. Chimchar into Infernape here. So, is it meta relevant? No, it is not. Trust me, you don't want to use one. It's Blast Burner is the move. Yeah, like literally, there's not much to say. Yeah. Just don't use one. It's a waste, I promise you. I promise you. And yeah, so that's actually the last one we have for 2019. So yeah, those are my thoughts and feelings on which mons you should or should not use an elite TM, be it charge or fast move. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. For part 3, oh, one last thing. Gosh, I always keep forgetting this. I need to start saying this in the beginning is don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Have fun, and peace.